And welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host, Mikey, and today I got a little bit of a story plus also a life hack for you. So many years ago, I decided that I'm going to try knitting, and I used to be a transport driver, and I decided to grab some knitting needles from the store and a ball of rainbow yarn so I could like accessorize my truck. And also I wanted to do a rainbow scarf. So I did the concept, and I knew from my mom, I don't know what the name of the stitches are. I'm so like that amateur at it. And I knew that if I purl on one row and then I knit on the next, I end up with the stitch that's called the stockinette stitch. So I've purposely folded this in. So I decided that I'm going to do that. And what was happening on my particular item is that after I got just a certain thing, the edges started to roll in like very much like a scroll from the ferrules. And so what it was, I took an iron and I tried to iron this thing out to be flat, because what it was turning into was a big ball like that. And what I never realized at that time is that this is called the stockinette stitch that I was trying to do. And also that I didn't realize that the border of something like that has to be different if we want it to sit flat. So today's lesson, when I put this back out, is all about how to refine the edging in order for it to sit flat. So what we want to concentrate is on the garter edge itself. Now this is a sample that I have been trying to play with just to get my hands back in the motion, so I would consider this a starter. And you can see that there's a few mistakes in the pattern that I did, and that was the whole concept of this exercise, is to get my hands into the motion of the ocean when it comes to this. So where I made mistakes, I was learning my lesson so that I would not do it twice. So this is Red Heart Unforgettable. The color is called Rainforest, and I'm going to show you what it means to have a garter edge, and also you can see that there's a different border at the beginning which helps it stay flat. So here's what this looks like when it's face down. So we have the garter edging like so, that keeps it nice and flat. And I also have a knit beginning right here to also keep it flat. So any mistakes I did in this, I was okay with it because I was using this as a learner lesson. So this is a really great idea to start with knitting in order to get your hands in the motion. And ultimately my goal is that as I was working my way through, my stitches were getting more and more even, and you can see that I made a mistake here, which I didn't notice until it was too late. So I'm okay with the mistakes when it comes to stuff like this, because it is a learning process. So if you're never sure on what the yarn is asking for, is that if you look at the ball band right at the back, it says that this yarn would require a 5mm or US 8 knitting needle if you were to use this. And so you can always change those ideas, but that's the gauge concept that you're going for. So this here is made up of 33 stitches. The first 5 stitches are always knit, and the last 5 stitches are always knit. And it's what's in the middle is being changed every other row in order to create the stockinette stitch. And when you turn it over, it looks just like that. So let me show you just a quick sample. I have videos on how to cast on. So I'm just going to cast on just some stitches just to show you this concept in more detail. So now that I've cast on, I have a total of 16 stitches. And the number is just arbitrary. This here is 33 if you would like to have this exact size here, and it looks pretty good. So what I want to do is that I want to do 9 rows of just straight knitting back and forth, and those 9 rows will then equal the look of the 5 stitch garter edge. So just write down the numbers 1 through 9, and every time you complete a row, just check it off as you go. You can see I've done this before. So what you would want to do is just set the first 9 rows are going to be a knit stitch. So just get this into your hands. I'm not continental knitting yet, but I'm going to be practicing in the future. So you just want to do your knit stitch. If you're not sure, just stick it in the back. We have other tutorials just available on how to do the individual stitch work itself, but just knit stitch back and forth a total of 9 times, and just check it off on your list as you go. So I've now just done 9 rows of just the knit stitch back and forth. In knitting, when you just knit back and forth, it's referred to as the garter stitch. That's the combination that you've just created. So in order to get the stockinette stitch, we have to change that combination. So instead of every row being a knit stitch, we have to change the other side to be slightly different. So on the edges that we have here, you see that almost the 9 rows equals the 5. You can change the number of the garter edge that you wish. Some people just do 3, but if you continue just to be a stockinette stitch, what happens is that this stitch is only worked on the one side, so therefore it creates that tension. And so that's what was creating my roll in my project without me realizing it, because I was so new to knitting at the time. So the tension is being created and being pulled, and therefore it wants to naturally just roll in like this. So a garter edge, and sometimes people just do a crochet edge too on a project, is just a great way to keep it being flat, just like you see. So now what we want to do is that we want to start changing the combination now to a stockinette stitch to get this beautiful stockinette here and also maintain the knit stitch here. To change the combination, the first 5 stitches here are going to always be a knit stitch so that we continue the same look, and then the last 5 stitches here are always going to be the knit stitch as well to maintain it, and then everything else in between. So I told you that there was 33 stitches here. That was just an arbitrary number. It didn't matter. I knew that this amount of stitches would be the size scarf that I would want for myself. So when we go to start with the first 5, we want to continue to be a knit stitch for that. So you just make sure you count it. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we're going to change the combination in the center of this. So now before you start, see the strand, how it's in behind? We want to take it through the needles. So in between, like the goalposts of football, take it through to the front side here, and we're going to purl the remaining stitches that we have left until we get to the last 5 that you can see. So I don't count those stitches generally unless, and like on a project like this. So what I'm doing is that I'm looking for when I see the last 5 stitches. So once we go in, we're going to go on the front side, and this is already in the front because we moved it. We wrap the yarn, and we have tutorials available on just the stitch work itself if you need it. So then we purl the remaining that we have in order to get to the last 5 stitches. So when you switch back to the knit stitch, we're on the front side of the work with this yarn that's being carried. And when I say the front side of the work, we're actually on the back of the project, but when I say front side, it's just what you're looking at. So I just continue to do it until I can see 5, and then in order to do the last 5 stitches, I need to move the yarn back to the between, and then just knit stitch the final 5. So now we've just created the combination of the knit stitch edges to keep the garter stitch edge, but we've just changed the center so that we can begin the stocking knit stitch. So I'm going to give you some tips in order to maintain the look of this pattern. So let's turn it around, and you can see that this center piece looks slightly different than the edge. So my tip to you, whenever you can see the flat side like this, you always straight knit stitch across. You're just maintaining the pattern. It's only when you're on the back of it, when you see it like this, that you have to purl. Okay, so if you see the beautiful area, then that means you're knit stitching across. And when you see the back of it like this, that means that you're knit stitching just the first 5, the last 5, and purling everything in between. So let's begin this row. So if we know that this is the good side that is showing up here, so we're going to knit stitch the entire row across. So this is considered then the right side of the project because the stocking knit stitch will appear on this side. And I know what you're thinking is that, well, how can this be looking different if you're just knit stitching across? It's because when you purled on the last row, you turn the stitch work of the stitches in a way that it aligns to make it look like the stocking knit stitch. If you continue to purl in the center and maintain that, then you're just going to turn it back into a garter stitch appearance. So whenever you're looking at this side, you don't need to count your stitches. You don't got to look for the first 5, last 5. You just knit and enjoy your stitching journey. And you will see at the end of this row in just a few seconds is that it will maintain the stocking knit appearance on the front of the scarf. And you see it? It's right there. So let's turn our work and do the next row. So when we do the next row, we can see the back of the project. Do you see all of that? That you cannot see any stockinette stitch at all. Okay, do you see the difference? And so when you have this on the back, you're going to knit stitch the first 5 stitches only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then the remaining until that you get to the last 5 have to be a purl. So you have to move this yarn between the goalposts in the front and then continue to purl until you can see the last 5 stitches need to be done. So this helps that knit stitch when you do it in the next row to stay backwards. So just move your hands out of the way so you can count how many stitches are left. There should be 5. So you see 5, so move the yarn back between the goalposts to the back and knit stitch the remaining 5. So the knit stitch is being continued up on the edge, which creates the gartered look, and the stocking knit stitch in the center. So when you turn it around, you can see that the center is more flat, which is what you're looking for. So when you start the next row, because you can see the stocking knit stitch, the entire side is just a knit stitch across. So do you see it's only one side that you have to be concerned about the 5 stitches at the front, on the beginning and the ending of a row. So in my particular sample, I just made my scarf as long as I wanted to, and then when you're ready, then you will just knit stitch the entire 9 rows that are left, and then that will bring it in balance to the beginning of the scarf, and then you can just fasten off at this time. So this lesson today is more focused on that roll that is done if you do the stocking knit stitch. If you're new to knitting and you did the same mistake I did, that's how they eliminate it, and this helps balance the roll by keeping the edges so that they don't want to turn in, just like the stockinette stitch would normally. And then you can just bind off, which we have tutorials available for that too, if that's something that you're interested in learning as well. And you'll find it right here on the channel, and you can see that you have the nice gartered edge, and you also have the stockinette right in the middle. And that's it, and have yourself a great day. Want to know more? Hit that subscribe now.